Admiral Helena Chen walked into the large meeting room at the Earth Defense Headquarters. Her face was serious as she looked at the holographic message floating above the center table. The message glowed blue, showing the official seal of the Galactic Council. "Is everyone here?" she asked, looking around at the gathered military leaders and government officials. "President Okafor is joining remotely," General Okonkwo said, pointing to the screen on the wall where the president's face appeared. "Let's begin," Chen said. "As you can all see, we received an official ultimatum from the Galactic Council this morning." She tapped a button, and the holographic message expanded so everyone could read it. The room fell silent as they took in the Council's demands. 30 days, Chen finally said, breaking the silence. "They've given us 30 days to hand over all research, blueprints, and working models of our new faster-than-light drive technology." General Okonkwo slammed his fist on the table. "This is outrageous. Our scientists worked for decades to develop this technology. It's the first major breakthrough we've had since joining the galactic community." Chen nodded. "The terms are even worse than they first appear. According to this document, Earth would only keep 5% of any profits from the technology. The Council would control everything else: production, distribution, even future research." President Okafor's voice came through the speakers. "What reason do they give for this demand?" Chen read from the message. "They claim our technology threatens the established galactic order and could destabilize carefully maintained power balances. Standard diplomatic language that means nothing." "It means they're afraid," said a quiet voice from the corner of the room. Everyone turned to look at Dr. Liam Sato, the lead scientist who had developed the new drive. He was a small man with tired eyes, but when he spoke, everyone listened. "They've treated humans as the newcomers, the primitive species, ever since first contact 60 years ago," Sato continued. "Now we've created something they didn't expect, something they can't easily control." "The doctor is right," Chen said. "This is about keeping humanity in our assigned place. The Council has never treated us as equals. This is just the most obvious example." On the screen, President Okafor frowned. "The Council ambassador told me this is standard procedure. He said all species must share revolutionary technologies for the good of the galaxy." General Okonkwo shook his head and pulled up data on his tablet. "That's simply not true, Madam President. Look at the historical record." He sent the information to everyone in the room. The Alturi developed gravity control systems 30 years ago. They still hold exclusive rights. The Volden created revolutionary biological technology a decade ago. No one forced them to share it. This isn't about galactic stability. This is about keeping humans contained. The room fell quiet as everyone considered the implications. "What happens if we refuse?" asked President Okafor. Chen read from the ultimatum again. "They will cut Earth off from all galactic trade routes. Our colonies would be isolated. No communication, no travel, no commerce with any Council worlds. They would strangle us slowly," Okonkwo said. "Earth depends on those trade routes now." Dr. Sato, who had been quietly thinking, suddenly looked up. "There's something strange about all this. The Council's reaction seems extreme, even considering their usual attitude toward humans." "What do you mean?" Chen asked. "I think they know something about our technology that we don't," Sato said. "The faster-than-light drive works by folding space-time in a new way. My team focused on making it work, not on all potential effects. There could be aspects of the technology we haven't fully understood yet." President Okafor leaned forward on the screen. "Are you saying the technology might actually be dangerous, Doctor?" "I'm saying there could be more to it than we currently know," Sato replied carefully. "And I believe the Council knows what that is. That would explain their urgency and these extreme demands." Admiral Chen thought for a moment. "So we have two problems: an unfair ultimatum from the Council and a potential mystery about our own technology. We need more information before we can make any decision," President Okafor said. "Admiral Chen, I want you to create a special team. Work with Dr. Sato. You have 15 days to discover what the Council might know about our technology that we don't." "And what about the Council's ultimatum?" General Okonkwo asked. We'll respond diplomatically, Okafor said. Tell them we're reviewing their request, but make it clear we won't be pressured into a hasty decision. Admiral Chen nodded. And if they push harder? Okafor's expression hardened on the screen. Then we remind them that Earth is not a colony or a subject world. We are an independent species with rights. We won't be bullied into giving up our greatest technological achievement. 15 days, Admiral, Okafor continued. Find out what they're hiding. As the meeting ended, people began to leave the room. No one noticed the small device hidden in the ceiling corner, its tiny lens recording everything. Far away in the Galactic Council headquarters, alien eyes watched with growing concern. In the secure hallway outside the meeting room, Admiral Chen caught up with Dr. Sato. Doctor, we need to talk privately about this special project, she said. I have a secure facility in mind, somewhere the Council won't be able to watch us. Sato looked surprised. You think they're spying on us? Chen gave a grim smile. I assume they're always spying on us. That's why we'll be working somewhere very cold and very isolated. Where? The Arctic Research Station, Chen replied. It's time we discovered what the Council is so afraid of. Meanwhile, in the Council's massive orbital station, the Chief Overseer reviewed the recording from the human meeting room. Things were not going as planned. The humans were asking questions they shouldn't be asking. They're being more difficult than we predicted, said an aide. The Overseer's multiple eyes blinked slowly. Humans are always difficult. That's why we need to contain this situation quickly. Should we shorten the timeline? 30 days might be too long. The Overseer considered this. Not yet. Let's see what they discover first. But prepare the fleet. If the humans get too close to the truth, we may need to take more direct action. The Overseer looked at the image of Earth rotating peacefully on the main screen. Such a small planet to cause so much trouble. One way or another, the Overseer said, this human problem will be solved. 1 week after the Council's ultimatum, Admiral Chen stepped off the transport at the Arctic Research Facility. The bitter cold hit her immediately as she walked across the landing pad toward the main building. This was one of Earth's most remote locations, perfect for keeping secrets. Dr. Sato met her at the entrance, bundled in a thick coat. Welcome to the edge of nowhere, Admiral, he said with a small smile. I hope the trip wasn't too uncomfortable. It was worth it, Chen replied, stamping snow from her boots as they entered the facility. This is one of the few places on Earth we can be certain is free from Council surveillance. Their technology doesn't work well in extreme environments. The inside of the facility was warm and brightly lit. Scientists moved between laboratories, carrying equipment and studying data on portable screens. All of them had been carefully selected and brought here under strict secrecy. Your team has been working non-stop, Chen observed as they walked through the main corridor. Sato nodded. Once we understood what we might be looking for, everyone became very motivated. Follow me to the main lab. There's something you need to see. They entered a large room filled with complex equipment. In the center stood a small version of the faster-than-light drive, connected to monitoring devices. A team of scientists worked at different stations around it. Dr. Amara Osei, the team's theoretical physicist, looked up from her workstation when they entered. Admiral, good timing. We're about to run another test. What exactly are you testing? Chen asked. Sato guided her to a screen showing complex equations and diagrams. When we started looking at our drive from new angles, we began asking different questions. Not just, how does it move a ship faster than light? But what exactly happens to space-time when it operates? Dr. Osei joined them. Traditional FTL theories involve bending space-time or creating wormholes, but our drive does something fundamentally different. She tapped on the screen, bringing up a simulation. Watch this representation of space-time when our drive activates. The simulation showed normal space-time as a flat grid. When the drive activated, the grid didn't just bend. Parts of it completely changed pattern, as if the basic rules governing it had been rewritten. I don't understand what I'm seeing, Chen admitted. That's because it's never been seen before, Sato said quietly. Our drive doesn't just move through space faster than light. It temporarily rewrites the fundamental rules of physics in its vicinity. Chen stared at the simulation. Is that even possible? Apparently so, Osei said. And each time the drive is used? She hesitated. Tell her. Sato encouraged. Each time the drive is used, it makes a tiny, permanent change to the universal constants in that region of space. Osei continued. The change is incredibly small, almost immeasurable. But it's real. Chen felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Arctic location. What does that mean in practical terms? Sato led her to another workstation where a larger simulation was running. One ship making one jump? Nothing noticeable. But imagine thousands of ships making millions of jumps over time. The simulation showed the cumulative effect, an increasing instability in the fabric of reality itself. After about 100 years of regular use across the galaxy, Osei explained, the changes would reach a tipping point. Stars would burn differently. The physical laws governing how atoms bond together would shift. The very fabric of reality would become unpredictable. My God, Chen whispered. The council was right to be concerned. Yes, Sato nodded. But also no. He typed a command, and the simulation changed. We've been working on a modification to the drive. Look at what happens now. In the new simulation, the changes to reality didn't spread randomly. Instead, they were contained and directed in specific patterns. Instead of preventing the changes, Sato explained, we can control them. We can direct exactly how the physical laws change and where. What does that mean? Chen asked, trying to grasp the implications. Dr. Osei's eyes were bright with excitement. It means we could create regions of space where the laws of physics are slightly different. Regions where certain technologies, our technologies, would have advantages. We could even, Sato added carefully, create spaces where only human biology can function properly, where alien life would struggle. Chen understood immediately. A weapon, the ultimate defensive tool. More than that, Osei said. We think this is what the Council has been hiding. This ability to manipulate reality itself. It explains so many of the magical technologies the older Council races possess. They've known about this for thousands of years. They've been keeping it from younger species like us, Sato added. When we accidentally discovered it, they panicked. Chen looked at the small drive in the center of the room with new respect and fear. This isn't just a faster way to travel between stars. This is control over reality itself. Yes, Sato confirmed. And I believe the Council races have been using this power for millennia, carefully controlling how much each species knows. That's why they want our technology so badly. Not to protect the galaxy, but to maintain their advantage. How long until you can demonstrate a controlled effect? Chen asked. 2 weeks, Sato replied. Just before the Council's deadline expires. Chen nodded slowly. Then we have leverage they never expected, and it's time they learned that humanity won't be pushed around anymore. As they discussed next steps, none of them realized the true extent of what they had discovered, or how desperately the Council would act to stop them. Far away, on the Council homeworld, the Overseer received a troubling report from the surveillance team monitoring Earth. We've lost track of Admiral Chen and the lead scientist, an aide reported. They've disappeared from all monitored locations. Find them, the Overseer ordered. Use every resource we have. There's more, the aide continued, nervously. Before they disappeared, our partial surveillance picked up conversations about the drive's true nature. We think they're beginning to understand. The Overseer's multiple eyes narrowed. This is worse than we thought. The humans are learning. Too quickly. Should we maintain the 30-day timeline? The Overseer stared at the holographic image of Earth rotating slowly before him. No, the humans cannot be allowed to fully unlock this power. Prepare the fleet for immediate deployment. But the ultimatum is no longer relevant, the Overseer cut in sharply. If the humans truly understand what they've discovered, they'll never surrender it. We must act now before they can implement what they've learned. Throughout the Council fleet, ships began preparing for departure. The mission was clear: secure the human technology, and prevent them from developing it further, by any means necessary. Back in the Arctic, unaware of the approaching danger, Dr. Sato looked at a simulation of their modified drive technology. If this works, he told Admiral Chen, humanity will never be treated as a lesser species again. And if the Council doesn't accept that? She asked. Sato's expression grew serious. Then they'll learn that pushing humanity too far was the biggest mistake they ever made. The attack came without warning. Admiral Chen was in her office at Earth Defense Headquarters when the alarms began blaring. She rushed to the command center, where officers were already tracking multiple objects entering Earth space. "Report," she ordered as she entered the room. "Council ships, Admiral," answered Colonel Park, her tactical officer. "Over 50 vessels just appeared in orbit. They bypassed all our early warning systems using diplomatic access codes." Chen stared at the tactical display. The Council ships had positioned themselves above every major human city on Earth. More reports were coming in from Mars, the Jupiter colonies, and the 5 human settlements on distant planets. "They're breaking their own ultimatum," Chen said, her voice tight with anger. "They gave us 30 days. It's only been 10. All attempts to contact the Council representatives have failed," reported Communications Officer Rivera. "Our ambassadors on the Council homeworld are being detained. The Council is calling it temporary security measures." President Okafor's face appeared on the main screen, broadcasting from the presidential bunker. "What are they doing, Admiral?" Before Chen could answer, General Okonkwo burst into the room. "They've deployed something in orbit," he reported. "Thousands of small devices releasing some kind of particles into the upper atmosphere." Dr. Avery Kim, the military's technology expert, looked up from her console with alarm. "The particles are nanomachines," she said. "They're targeting our communication systems and computer networks. Analysis suggests they're designed to—" She stopped suddenly, her face paling. "Designed to what, Doctor?" Chen demanded. "They're erasing data, Admiral," Kim said. "Specifically, they're targeting scientific databases. They're trying to erase all information about the faster-than-light drive from human knowledge." President Okafor's expression hardened. "They want to make it like we never discovered it at all." Reports flooded in from around the solar system. The same pattern was happening everywhere. Council ships in position, no direct attacks on human populations, but systematic destruction of technological infrastructure and scientific databases. "We need to activate Firebreak Protocol," Chen said, looking directly at the president. A heavy silence fell over the room. Firebreak was Earth's last resort option, a complete shutdown of all network systems across human space. It would protect critical information but cause significant disruption to everyday life. "Do it," Okafor ordered without hesitation. Chen turned to her communications officer. "Send the emergency code. All stations, all colonies. Activate Firebreak, immediately." Throughout human territory, emergency alerts sounded. Citizens received instructions they had practiced but never expected to use. One by one, the great networks that connected humanity fell silent. Not because the Council had destroyed them, but because humans had shut them down themselves. In homes and offices, screens went dark. Transportation systems switched to manual control. The modern conveniences of connected life disappeared in minutes as humanity retreated into technological isolation to protect its knowledge. In the Arctic facility, Dr. Sato received the alert and immediately initiated their own isolation protocols. The facility disappeared from all networks, shielded itself from detection, and activated its independent power systems. "We expected the Council might try something," Sato told his team as they gathered in the main lab. "But not this soon, and not this aggressively." Dr. Osi looked at the small prototype of their modified drive. "They must be truly desperate to stop us." "And that confirms we're on the right track," Sato replied. "We need to accelerate our timeline. If the Council is willing to attack without warning, who knows what else they'll do." On the Council flagship in Earth orbit, the Overseer received reports with growing confusion. They shut down their own networks? the Overseer asked, all four eyes blinking in surprise. Yes, Overseer, the tactical officer confirmed. They activated something called Firebreak Protocol. Their major systems are going offline one by one. Our nanites are being systematically isolated and neutralized. Impossible, the Overseer hissed. No species has ever chosen isolation over connectivity. The social collapse alone should force them to surrender. But the expected distress calls never came. Instead, isolated human military units began coordinating using old technologies: radio, light signals, and even physical messengers. Technologies the Council's advanced systems weren't designed to monitor. They're adapting, the tactical officer reported with astonishment. Far faster than our models predicted. The Overseer stared at the view screen showing Earth's night side, usually glittering with city lights, now showing only scattered illumination. The humans had chosen darkness over submission. Deploy the containment fleet, the Overseer commanded. No ships in or out of the solar system. Complete isolation until they surrender their technology. As the Council ships moved to form a blockade, something unexpected happened. Emergency lights began flashing across the flagship's control room. Overseer, the tactical officer shouted. Our systems are being compromised. Impossible, the Overseer snarled. Their networks are down. It's not coming from their networks, the officer replied, frantically working controls. It's coming from within our own systems. The Overseer's multiple eyes widened in shock. On the main screen, the ship's operating system began to malfunction. Weapon systems went offline. Navigation controls failed. Life support flickered. How is this possible? The Overseer demanded. The answer came in the form of a message that appeared on the main screen. It showed a human face, Admiral Chen. Your arrogance was your weakness, her recorded message stated. You've always treated us as primitives, barely worth monitoring. Your diplomats used our internet for entertainment. Your crews brought personal devices to our stations. For years, we've been planting backdoors in your systems. Waiting. The Overseer stared in disbelief as similar reports came in from across the fleet. Dozens of Council ships were experiencing the same system failures. This changes nothing, the Overseer said, trying to maintain control. We still have overwhelming force. Once we restore our systems, you won't restore them easily. Chen's message continued, as if anticipating the Overseer's response. And while you're trying, we'll be implementing what we've learned. The screen went dark, leaving the Overseer in a command center illuminated only by emergency lighting. Get me communication with the Council High Command, the Overseer ordered. Tell them the humans were prepared for us. This will not be as simple as we thought. Across human space, the counterattack unfolded. Council ships found themselves adrift, their crews unharmed but their technology useless. The nanites that had been destroying human knowledge were reprogrammed, turned against their masters. In the Arctic facility, Dr. Sato's team worked frantically. They knew their time had been cut short by the Council's betrayal, but they were ready. The modified drive is prepared for its first test, Dr. Ose confirmed. We're targeting a controlled space 10 kilometers wide, centered on the Council flagship. Doctor, Sato took a deep breath. This will show them we understand the technology's true power. Initiate the field. The device hummed to life. There was no explosion, no visible effect, just a slight ripple in the air around the machine. Aboard the Council flagship, the Overseer suddenly clutched at its breathing apparatus. Around the command center, other Council members did the same. What have they done? Gasped the Overseer. The science officer, equally distressed, checked readings with trembling hands. They've altered the molecular binding properties in this region of space. Our respiratory systems can't process the oxygen molecules anymore. The Overseer stared in horror at the emergency screens. The humans had done the impossible. They hadn't just discovered the reality manipulation technology, they had mastered it, and the Council's worst fears had come true. 6 months before the Council's ultimatum, Captain Mira Santos had led a small, secret mission. Her team of elite hackers and technology specialists had infiltrated a Council outpost during what appeared to be a routine diplomatic visit. Their real mission, Place hidden backdoors in council systems as a precaution. No one had expected to use them so soon. Now, Captain Santos stood in a secure command center beneath the Appalachian Mountains. The underground facility was protected from attacks and ran on independent power. Around her, teams of specialists worked at computer stations that weren't connected to any outside network. "Execute Operation Trojan," Santos ordered. Her team sent activation codes through emergency transmitters. Across the solar system, dormant programs awakened inside council vessels. For decades, humans had been studying alien technology from a position of apparent inferiority. What the council didn't realize was how much humanity had learned during this time. On the council flagship, chaos continued as systems failed one after another. Weapons offline. Navigation compromised. Communications down, reported the increasingly panicked tactical officer. "How?" demanded the overseer, who was still struggling to breathe normally after the humans' reality-altering attack. "How did they penetrate our security?" The answer came when the main view screen activated without command, showing a human face. It was Admiral Chen. "Your arrogance was your weakness," she stated simply. "You've always underestimated us, treated us as primitives barely worth your attention. Your diplomats used our internet. Your crews brought their devices to our stations. For years we've been studying your systems and placing backdoors." The overseer's face showed rage. "This changes nothing. The full might of the council will crush your species." "Perhaps," Chen replied calmly. "But not before we implement what we've learned." Across human space, the counterattack unfolded. The council's blockade ships found themselves adrift, their crews unharmed, but their technology useless. The nanites that had been destroying human knowledge were reprogrammed to protect rather than destroy. In the Arctic facility, Dr. Sato monitored the effects of their reality manipulation test on the council flagship. "The effect is temporary," he told Admiral Chen through a secure communication line. "Their life support systems will compensate in about 10 minutes. But they now understand what we can do." "Good," Chen replied. "It's time they learned that humanity isn't helpless." Dr. Osei worked at a nearby console, analyzing data from the test. "The modifications worked perfectly," she reported. "We can control exactly which physical laws are altered and where. We could target just their ships while leaving Earth untouched." "How soon can you expand the effect?" Chen asked. "We need a few days to build larger devices," Sato answered. "But theoretically, we could create a field that surrounds Earth's orbit, a protective bubble where only our technology works properly." Chen nodded. "Begin production immediately. We need to be ready if the Council sends reinforcements." In space, the situation had reached a stalemate. The Council fleet was disabled but not destroyed. Human forces had gained time but knew it wouldn't last forever. The Council would send more ships, more weapons. On the Council homeworld, emergency meetings were taking place. The High Council, made up of representatives from the oldest spacefaring species, gathered in their grand chamber to discuss the human problem. "The Overseer's attack failed," reported the military commander. "The humans were prepared. They had countermeasures we never anticipated." "Worse," added the science advisor. "They've mastered reality manipulation faster than any species we've encountered. The test they conducted was precise, controlled. They altered oxygen molecules in a 10-kilometer sphere without affecting anything else." The head counselor, an ancient being from one of the founding species, leaned forward. "This is unprecedented. No emerging species has ever developed this level of control so quickly. We should launch a full-scale invasion," suggested one counselor. "Overwhelm them with numbers." "And risk them creating larger reality distortions?" countered another. "They could make entire regions of space uninhabitable for our species." The bearded head counselor raised a hand for silence. "There is another option." All eyes turned to the leader. "The architects." A shocked silence fell over the chamber. The architects were the true founders of the council. Ancient beings who had mastered reality manipulation millions of years ago and had since remained hidden, guiding from the shadows. The architects have not directly intervened in a species, matter for over 10,000 years, protested one counselor. The humans leave us no choice, replied the head counselor. They've discovered what was meant to be hidden. They've mastered what should have taken them centuries to understand. The architects must be consulted. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Okafor addressed the leaders of all human settlements through secure, limited-range communications. The firebreak protocol was still in effect, isolating human systems from each other, but essential messages could still be transmitted through carefully protected channels. The council attacked without warning, Okafor told them. They tried to erase our knowledge and destroy our technology. Their betrayal proves what many have suspected for years. The council has never seen humanity as equals. The leaders from Mars, Europa, and the outer colonies listened grimly. But we were prepared, Okafor continued. Thanks to the foresight of our military and scientific leaders, we've managed to repel the initial attack. The reality manipulation technology that the Council tried to take from us has proven even more powerful than we imagined. What happens next? Asked the governor of Mars. The Council won't just give up. No, they won't, Okafor agreed, which is why we're accelerating development of our new defenses. Dr. Sato's team is building larger versions of the reality manipulation device. Within days, we'll be able to create protective fields around our major settlements. And if the Council sends more ships? Asked another leader. Admiral Chen, who stood beside the president, answered, Then they'll learn that humanity can no longer be threatened or controlled. If they want war, we'll show them that pushing us was their greatest mistake. In the Arctic facility, Dr. Sato's team worked around the clock, building larger versions of their device. The prototype had worked perfectly, but it had only affected a small area. The new versions would protect entire cities, even planets. Dr. Osi approached Sato as he worked. There's something we haven't considered, she said quietly. If the council races have known about reality manipulation for millennia, why are they so afraid of us discovering it? Why not just show us how to use it safely? Sato paused his work. I've been wondering the same thing. I think there must be aspects of this technology that even they don't fully understand, or perhaps what? Perhaps they understand it all too well and that's why they're afraid, Sato concluded. Either way, we need to learn more. The future of humanity may depend on it. As Earth prepared its defenses, a message was sent from the Council homeworld to a hidden location beyond the galactic core. For the first time in thousands of years, the architects were being called to intervene directly in the affairs of younger species. The humans had discovered the fundamental secret of the universe, and nobody, not even the ancient council races, knew exactly what would happen next. 3 days after humanity's demonstration of reality manipulation, a new type of ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. Unlike the angular metallic vessels of the council fleet, this ship was smooth and seemed to shimmer between solid matter and energy. Earth's remaining detection systems identified it immediately. Unknown vessel approaching, reported Colonel Park in the Earth Defense Command Center. It's not matching any known council design. Admiral Chen studied the images. Is it hostile? No weapons seem to be active, Park answered. And it's broadcasting, on all frequencies, in multiple languages, including Earth Standard. What's the message? Chen asked. Just 3 words. We wish to speak. President Okafor, joining via secure communication, made the decision. Allow them to approach, but keep all defenses ready. The strange vessel moved into Earth orbit, taking position far from the disabled council ships. Then it sent a more detailed message requesting a meeting with humanity's leaders. They identify themselves as the Architects, Communications Officer Rivera reported with surprise. According to council records we've accessed, the Architects are the founders of the council, Chen finished. The oldest known spacefaring species. They're supposed to be almost mythical beings who no longer involve themselves in galactic politics. Until now, Okafor said. They've chosen to reveal themselves because of us. 24 hours later, Earth's orbital diplomatic station hosted the most important meeting in human history. Admiral Chen, President Okafor, and Dr. Sato gathered to meet the mysterious architects. When the three architects emerged from their transport shuttle, the humans were stunned. The beings appeared almost translucent, their bodies shifting between solid matter and pure energy. They moved with impossible grace, as if gravity affected them differently. "You have discovered what was hidden," the lead architect stated without introduction, its voice somehow speaking directly into the humans' minds. "The fundamental control." "You mean our ability to manipulate reality?" Dr. Sato replied cautiously. "Yes," the architect confirmed. "The ultimate technology, from which all others come. We discovered it 5 million years ago, and it nearly destroyed all existence." The architect raised a hand, and suddenly the meeting room seemed to disappear. The humans found themselves floating in space, watching galaxies spinning around them. It wasn't a hologram or a projection. It felt completely real. "This is our history," the architect explained. "When we discovered the fundamental control, we used it without understanding its full power. We created specialized areas of space for our convenience, changed reality to suit our desires. The effects spread further than we anticipated. The vision showed entire star systems vanishing, reality itself becoming unstable. We sacrificed much of our civilization to repair the damage," continued the architect. "Then we created the council to ensure no species would ever again discover this power without proper guidance. We monitored developing civilizations, direct technology away from dangerous areas, and when necessary, you destroy them." President Okafor finished, her voice hard. "Yes," admitted the architect without apology, "for the preservation of all existence." Admiral Chen's eyes narrowed. "How many species have discovered this technology before us?" 17, replied the architect. 12 were successfully contained. 5 required elimination. The humans exchanged shocked glances. "You destroyed 5 entire civilizations?" Okafor asked. "To preserve all others," the architect stated. "A choice you would make in our position." Dr. Sato studied the vision of galaxies still surrounding them. "But you're talking to us, not trying to eliminate us. Why?" For the first time, the architect showed something like emotion, a reluctant respect. "Because you are different. No species has ever prepared for our intervention as you did. None has sacrificed their own technological networks to preserve knowledge. None has infiltrated council systems so thoroughly." The architect's form shimmered. "And none has developed such precise control over the fundamental forces so quickly." "You fear us," Chen realized. "We respect your potential," corrected the architect. "And we recognize when our methods have failed." The cosmic vision faded, and they were back in the meeting room. The lead architect approached Dr. Sato directly. "Your modifications to the technology, directing changes rather than preventing them, we never considered this approach. It suggests possibilities we had not explored." President Okafor stepped forward. "What exactly are you proposing?" "A true seat on the council," the architect replied. "Not the subordinate position offered to most species. Humanity would join, the architects as guardians of the fundamental control. You would help us find a better balance between safety and progress." "Why should we trust you?" Chen demanded. "After what you tried to do to us." "Because despite what you believe," the architect replied, "we are not conquerors. We are caretakers. Flawed, perhaps too cautious, but dedicated to preserving existence itself. And we have been alone in this burden for too long." The architect extended a hand, a deliberately human gesture. "We offer partnership, not subjugation. Your perspective could be valuable." The humans exchanged glances, communicating without words. This was far beyond anything they had expected. Not just resistance against council control, but potential leadership within it. "We will consider your offer," President Okafor finally said. "But understand this. Humanity will never surrender its knowledge or freedom again. Any partnership must recognize our independence." "As expected," the architect replied, withdrawing its hand. "You have 10 of your days to decide. We will await your answer." As the architects departed, Dr. Sato turned to the others. They're still hiding something important about this technology. Of course they are, Chen agreed. Which means we keep developing our understanding. If we're going to make this decision, we need to know exactly what this power can really do. Back at the Arctic facility, Sato's team worked day and night, running tests and analyzing data. The meeting with the architects had provided new questions, new directions to explore. Dr. Osei approached Sato as he studied a simulation of reality distortion. "I've been analyzing the data from the architect's ship," she said. "Their biology isn't just unusual. It's been fundamentally altered." "What do you mean?" Sato asked. "Their physical form shifts between matter and energy," Osei explained. "That's not natural evolution. It's deliberate modification. They've been using the reality manipulation technology on themselves." Sato's eyes widened. "You think they've been enhancing their own species?" "Not just enhancing," Osei replied. "Transforming. Becoming something beyond physical limitations. And I think that's what they're most afraid we'll discover. The technology doesn't just allow us to change the universe around us, it allows us to change ourselves." Sato considered this new information carefully. If you're right, then the offer to join the council might not be just about controlling dangerous technology. It might be about controlling humanity's evolution. Exactly. Osei nodded. The question is, do we accept their guidance and limitations, or do we forge our own path? In orbit around Earth, the architect's vessel waited silently. Inside, the three architects communicated in ways no human could understand. "They will not accept limitations," one stated. "It is not in their nature." "Perhaps that is why they are valuable," another suggested. "They see possibilities we have forgotten to consider." "Or perhaps that is why they are dangerous," the lead architect replied. "Either way, the galaxy will change. The only question is how." Back on Earth, humanity stood at a crossroads: potential destruction, continued isolation, or a new role in galactic leadership. But whatever path they chose, they would walk it on their own terms. The Council had pushed too far, and humanity's refusal to negotiate had altered the future of the galaxy forever. 10 days was not enough time to fully understand the power of reality manipulation, but it was enough for Dr. Sato's team to make one crucial discovery. "The architects lied to us," Dr. Osei announced to the emergency council gathered in the Arctic facility's main chamber. All of humanity's key leaders were present: Admiral Chen, President Okafor, and representatives from every human settlement. "The technology doesn't cause universal collapse, at least not by itself," Dr. Osei continued, activating the holographic display to show their findings. "Our tests confirmed that controlled, localized changes to physical laws remain stable indefinitely. The disaster the architects described could only happen if someone used the technology recklessly on a massive scale. So they exaggerated the danger to maintain control," President Okafor concluded. "Not exactly," Dr. Sato said. "We believe they did experience a genuine catastrophe. But it wasn't because the technology is inherently unstable. It was because they used it against each other." He brought up historical models based on the information the architects had shared. Different groups of architects created conflicting reality zones. Where these zones overlapped, true instability occurred. It wasn't the technology that failed, it was their cooperation that failed. Admiral Chen considered this carefully. "So, the real danger isn't the technology itself, but how it's governed." "Precisely," confirmed Dr. Osei. "And there's something else." She hesitated before continuing. "We've discovered the technology allows for something the architects never mentioned. Consciousness expansion." The room fell silent. "What exactly does that mean?" asked President Okafor. Dr. Sato explained. "The same principles that allow us to alter physical laws can be applied to the brain and nervous system. We can potentially expand human consciousness, enhance our thinking abilities, perception, even access states of awareness we can barely imagine." "You're talking about deliberately changing human evolution," Chen said quietly. "Yes," Sato nodded. "And I believe the architects have already done this to themselves. Their energy-like state, their telepathic abilities, these aren't natural developments. They've been modifying their own species for millions of years. President Okafor stood, walking slowly around the room. So our choice is bigger than just political power. It's about the future direction of humanity itself. That's why they offered us partnership, Chen realized. They know we'll discover this potential with or without them. They want to control how we use it. The discussions continued through the day and night. When morning came, humanity had made its decision. The architects returned exactly 10 days later, arriving at Earth's orbital station. This time, humanity was represented not just by political and military leaders, but by scientists, philosophers, artists, and ordinary citizens from across human space, a true cross-section of the species. President Okafor addressed the architects directly. "We have considered your offer of partnership. We reject it." The lead architect's form flickered with what might have been surprise. "You choose isolation or conflict?" "Neither," Okafor replied firmly. "We choose a third path. We will not join the existing council structure, nor will we remain in isolation. Instead, we propose a completely new approach." Dr. Sato stepped forward. "We know the technology allows for consciousness expansion. We know you've used it on yourselves. And we know that the real danger comes not from the technology, but from competing interests using it against each other. What we propose," continued Admiral Chen, "is an open consortium. All species with the potential to discover this technology would be gradually introduced to it, not kept in ignorance. Safety protocols would be developed together. Knowledge would be shared, not hoarded." "Impossible," the architect stated. "Many species are not ready for such power." "No species is ever ready for major technological advances," countered Dr. Jose. "But guided introduction is safer than desperate discovery. Your approach has already failed 17 times by your own count." "What is your alternative?" asked President Okafor. "Continue destroying species that discover this technology independently. How long can that approach last?" The architects conferred among themselves in silent communication. Finally, the lead architect spoke again. "You would risk everything on this untested approach?" "We would risk everything to avoid stagnation and suppression," Okafor replied. "The universe is not static. Evolution, both biological and technological, is inevitable. Better to guide it than futilely try to prevent it." "And if we refuse?" asked the architect. Admiral Chen stepped forward. "Then humanity will proceed independently. We will develop this technology fully. We will expand our consciousness, and we will share what we learn with any species that wishes to join us." "That would mean conflict," warned the architect. "Only if you choose it," Chen replied calmly. "We don't seek dominance, just the freedom to explore our potential without constraint, and we suspect many council species will find our approach more appealing than eternal subservience." For a long moment, the architect was silent, its form shifting between states more rapidly than before. Then, surprisingly, it emitted what could only be described as laughter. 5 million years, it said, and you are the first to challenge us so directly. Perhaps this is why we failed to predict your actions. Your species thinks fundamentally differently than ours. Is that a compliment or a criticism? Asked Okafor. An observation, replied the architect, and perhaps the strongest argument for your approach. Diversity of thought may indeed provide safeguards that uniformity cannot. The architect extended its hand once more, but this time as an equal, not a superior. We will consider your proposal, not as a replacement for the council, but as an evolution of it. It will not be easy. Many will resist. Progress rarely is easy, President Okafor said, accepting the gesture. But the alternative is worse. As the formal discussions began, Dr. Sato found himself approached by the third architect, who had remained silent until now. You have only glimpsed the surface of what is possible, it told him privately. The door you have opened leads to realms beyond physical reality. I know, Sato replied. That's what frightens me. As it should, the architect acknowledged. Fear is appropriate when standing at the edge of transformation, but do not let it prevent you from crossing. Sato considered this. Will you help us understand what lies beyond? No, the architect replied. We will walk beside you as you discover it for yourselves. That is the only way your species will truly understand its significance. Across human space, the news spread. Humanity would not be subjugated, nor would it stand alone. Instead, it would help forge a new path, one that recognized the inevitable march of discovery while establishing frameworks to ensure it proceeded safely. The Galactic Council had pushed too far, but humanity's refusal to negotiate had not led to destruction. It had led to transformation. Not just for humans, but potentially for all sentient life. The universe would never be the same again, and it had all started because someone had believed that humanity would simply submit to an ultimatum. They had failed to understand a fundamental truth about the human species. When pushed too far, humans didn't just push back, they changed the rules of the game entirely. As Admiral Chen watched the architect's ship depart, she thought about how close they had come to disaster. The Council's attempt to bully humanity had almost led to war. Instead, it had opened the door to an entirely new future. Was this your plan all along? President Okafor asked, joining her at the observation window. Chen shook her head. No one could have planned this. We were just trying to protect ourselves. And instead, we may have changed the course of galactic history, Okafor said. That's the thing about humanity, Chen replied with a small smile. We never just accept the limitations others try to place on us. We always find another way. As Earth's lights glowed below them, both leaders knew that the greatest journey was just beginning. Humanity had refused to negotiate on the Council's terms, and in doing so had negotiated something far greater. A new future for all species based on cooperation rather than control. The stars no longer seemed like distant points of light. They were doorways to possibility. And humanity was ready to step through. The end.